Arjuna stands for focus.
Yeah.
Yudhishthira stands for strategic thinking. Bhim stands for
सबसे
passion.
शक्तिशाली है और सबसे स्ट्रॉन्गेस्ट है युद्ध में, बट ये जो पर्सपेक्टिव है वो शायद I mean to his craft as a yodha, as a warrior, and I think that is something that people of Bharat, people of India should imbibe in their daily lives, you know, that courage, that passion towards his profession. Hey guys, welcome back, and we are in the background of the Parvati river. This is the Parvati Valley in Kasol, and as usual I have Omi with me, and today we're going to be talking about the Pandavas. So are you all set?
So tell me about what do you think? Let's start from the youngest ones.
Yep.
The twins to Madri. What do you think Nakul and Sahadev were?
See, for me, while growing up, I read a lot of Amarchita Katha. Okay, so I was exposed to the Pandavas through the Amarchita Katha comics. And so how you have typically jo heroes rehte na? So you have the heroes who are the Pandavas. You have the villains who are the Kauravas. So with regards to Nakul Sahadev, मेरे को उतना opinion है जितना say I have about Yudhishthir, about Arjun and Bhim, obviously with the strength. So for me, बचपन का वही है कि हाँ युधिष्ठिर माने you always speak the truth, you be honest. Bhim is strength and Arjuna is courage. So those were the principles that were, you know, sort of I grew up.
True. It's like in the Mahabharat, the Ramayana. Do you know anything about Shatrugna?
Nothing, absolutely nothing.
So these are characters who have our family members, they support them. Okay, Nakul and Sahadev, definitely. I think one of them was Sahadev who killed. It was one of the cousins who killed the guy who was he was the mama to the Kauravas.
Okay.
And Shakuni. I think Shakuni was killed by Sahadev, if I'm not wrong. And apart from that, I don't think so. There's a big mention about those two, but. If you know, my long-term goal is to write a book on the Mahabharata from my perspective. For me, Nakul and Sahadev were simply young, were stepbrothers,
right?
Whom were kind of, told by their mother that they always have to listen to their elder brothers, and especially to Kunti, because their lives, Madri was able to produce them because of how Kunti did. So they were, totally loyal and always about what the elder brothers.
Right. And that is what is known, right? I mean, like I told you, it's all about Yudhishthir being the righteous, the honest, and that's, of course, it's a fantastic lesson to have. But as you rightly said, ki shayad we are not taught enough about the Pandavas. We are not taught enough of the Mahabharat in our childhood.
Yeah.
We grew up with so many cartoons, with wrestling, with cricket at its peak. Somewhere down the line, I think we are lucky that we had Amarchita Katha, which exposed us to all of this. And after we grew up, obviously we read and deep dive into much more. But in today's generation, if you ask anyone about the Pandavas, I don't think so you're going to expect a reply about this. So anyways, I want to ask you, what is your observation and learnings from all the 5 Pandavas individually? Like how I told you the 3 brothers, what are your takeaways?
So now we'll speak about the 3 main characters, the 3 main, heroes or the 3 main protagonists who played a pivotal role of the Mahabharata. I will start with Bhim. Now, what I am going to share my perspective is some perspective which I always want to share in my book, which is going to be a very unique perspective. It has come across after reading a lot of books. Let me tell you about Bhim. People feel he was all power, no brain.
Yeah.
All brawn, no brain.
Yeah.
To a certain extent, yes. But let me tell you one thing, AJ. Bhim was the most pure-hearted person amongst all of the Pandavas. He loved Draupadi more than any of the brothers. And he made sure, like, when Draupadi was told to marry all the 5, Arjuna became heartbroken. Okay, and you know how most men deal with heartbreaks, right?
Yeah.
He goes out there and he marries Krishna's sister, and Draupadi is taken aback by this decision. But Bhim never, like, Bhim marries a lot of them. One most remarkable figure being Hidimba. But he makes sure that Draupadi never feels insecure. I would say that he was one of the most purest warriors. His anger was his destruction, as Yudhishthira even mentioned at the end.
Yeah.
But what I feel is, if a man has to love a woman, he has to love the way that Bhim loves.
That's it's amazing. What a perspective! I would have never thought of personifying Bhim in this way, because as you rightly said, कि it's all about the brawn, the muscle. कि भाई भीम सबसे शक्तिशाली है और सबसे स्ट्रॉन्गेस्ट है युद्ध में. बट ये जो पर्सपेक्टिव है वो शायद
There are certain books in which I remember, for Draupadi, when Draupadi had no female friend, Bhim would even become that, and she would just laugh. So, what a man truly is. It's not all about power or about the male ego. If he can turn into a joker for the woman he loves, that's a real man.
I think this is very exemplary, right? Where they say कि the toughest men are like coconuts. They're hard from the outside, but inside they're soft. I mean, if they want to be, and this is a side that I think a lot of men don't relate to. I mean, they would still be bitter, cold. It's not wrong to express emotion.
Let's take an example of why Bhim, if went cold, he went to the extent of actually tearing Dushasana and drinking his blood. What would you do if you are a youngster who was always had to be cautious, because you were the strongest of all your brothers and there was always a plotting of you being killed. You grow up, you see your brothers and your mother being threatened continuously a number of times.
Yeah.
You grow up, you see that you are yourself driven away from your kingdom. You're again plotted to killed away with. Then so many incidents you see, like you come to the game of dice where you see your elder brother taking decisions which are foolish.
Correct.
But you being the one who's being told to always be loyal to your brother, listen to Yudhishthira, listen to Dharma. You see Dharma doing stuff like gambling, and you just have to sit there because you have to just be a puppet. You see your wife being disrobed. Do you think such a man wouldn't go cold? Do you think such a man wouldn't go tough? Come on, yeah. I think says it all.
I'm getting goosebumps just listening to all of this. I'm sure even the listeners / viewers also would be feeling the same. Quickly, what about Yudhishthir and Arjun?
Arjun is somewhat, for me, for my loyalty towards Karna, I always have a very critical, kind of version of Arjun. So, I will still take Yudhishthira first because I have a very different version of Arjun which I love to share.
Let's go.
So, Yudhishthira for me, it's a gambler till the end. People say Dharma, you call him Dharma, okay. Does Dharma play dice? Does Dharma, like a person who, whatever say, he was bound by the rules or whatever, you have lost yourself. How can you wage your wife in that game of dice? You have won the kingdom on the kind of valor and the bravery of your brothers. After fighting a war, after 35 years, you decide to just go down to the Himalayas. Okay? He goes down to the Himalayas. You see all of the brothers falling. And he is giving a sermon there. Nakul dies because of his, so-called vanity. Arjuna dies because of his, proudness towards his archery. Draupadi dies because she was not kind of loyal to all of us. And the brothers who fought for him, who were there for the entire life, he lets them fall. But there's this dog who comes along and he tells the gatekeeper, I won't enter if the dog doesn't come in. That's Yudhishthira for you, man. He knows that the dog is someone who is very critical for me to get into heaven. So Yudhishthira is always strategic. Whenever he was he knew that Arjuna is very critical for me from the perspective of a commander in chief. Bhim is very, kind of very strategically important to me in this term. Nakul Sahadeva very important. He rushes to tell Kunti that they won Draupadi because he knows that a woman can break the unity of the brothers. So for me, Yudhishthira is a strategic gambler who gambled till the very end. He also got into heaven after knowing that the dog was somewhat key for him entering the heaven. And yes, there are very good qualities about him. And one thing that I love about Yudhishthira is his strategic and practical thinking and no emotions attached to it.
Fair enough. And your favorite or your antithesis, I would say, because you're a Karna, what about Arjuna?
Why do you think Krishna supported Arjuna?
No idea.
Would you love to see your sister as a widow?
Absolutely not.
Why would Krishna love to see his sister as a widow? I know there will be many kind of people who will contradict me on this, but this is one of the most practical and purest reasons I have felt that Krishna supported Arjuna, because Arjuna was married to his sister. He was linked to Krishna's family. That is my first thing that I feel why I always had a question. Why did Krishna only choose Arjuna? Okay, this is a very practical reason that Arjuna kind of was married to Krishna's sister, and probably Krishna always had a soft corner for her. He even kind of dissuaded her to marry Duryodhana and run away, elope with Arjuna. That was one good reason. Second thing that I feel is Arjuna was always confused. Like, I truly agree, we got the Bhagavad Gita because he was confused. But unlike Karna had only one goal. Like, that is what a warrior is. He wanted to be the best. And how could he be the best? By defeating the best. Clear, done.
Correct.
There were so many people out there to kind of mentally and physically harass him, like to dissuade him from that war, because they knew that the only person who could kill Arjuna was Karna. Okay, but what I feel is, I just don't want to get into Arjuna rant again, and I feel one of the most important things that I want to inculcate in myself from Arjuna is focus. His focus was more than Karna.
100%. And I absolutely love that the story that is the most popular story, right? When they are students learning archery, and Arjuna is so focused that he sees the eye of the
fish.
bird or fish.
Sorry, eye of the bird.
Eye of the bird, yeah. And
I think it's the fish. I think of the bird. I'm really
that focus and I would also say that the bravery, the courage that he showed to go into battle with his family, it really takes a lot of courage to do that. And that is the Mahabharat, right? How Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna that this is his dharma, this is his duty, he has to do it. So very, very fascinating, and I absolutely love the bow and arrow. I think
he read this somewhere that he used to Gandharva is the weapon of his the bow that he used to.
Yeah.
So he used to sleep with the Gandharva.
Yeah, I mean that is dedication. I mean, to his craft as a Yodha, as a warrior, and I think that is something that people of Bharat, people of India should imbibe in their daily lives. That courage, that passion towards his profession. Yeah, man, I think, do you have any parting thoughts before we close this video?
I think we just started our first session of Mahabharata. We can give some interesting perspectives. Again, these are our perspectives.
Yeah.
After reading a lot of books.
Yeah.
Some are fictional, some are non-fictional. But we would like to say these are strictly our perspectives. This is what we think about these favorite characters.
And that is the best part about Sanatan Dharma. I mean, we don't have a book that we follow blindly, right? It is always open. It's a very open kind of, it's a faith, it's a way of life. It's not a religion per se, I would say. Anyways, that's
so
a whole different
all the five brothers, I would say, Arjuna stands for focus.
Yeah.
Yudhishthira stands for strategic thinking. Bhim stands for passion. Nakul Sardeva stand for concentration and your dedication towards what you are doing.
Fantastic. I think that this is the best way to end this video. I would really like all of you to, leave a comment with regards to what you think and what are the other topics that you want to listen to. It is ironic that we shot a podcast before this about Lord Shiva in Shangad, which is a place very, very close to the Pandavas. And right now we are sitting next to the Parvati river, Parvati Valley, and we're talking about the Pandavas. So, I mean, that's how the cookie crumbles, I think. So, thanks to everyone who's watched till this point. We'll be back with another podcast slash video cast soon. Until next time, this is Ajay Menon signing off. That's Omi. We'll see you guys once again.